When you hear the name Demi Lovato, what comes to mind? Probably Disney Channel, maybe Camp Rock, maybe that voice that could shake a stadium. Or maybe you think of the headlines, the overdose, the rehab, the interviews about addiction, the documentaries, the pronoun changes, the internet noise. But if you really look at her story, you'll find something most people never see. Not drama, not controversy, but a human being who's been fighting for peace her entire life. Demi Lovato didn't get famous by accident. She was on screen as a child, singing, dancing, acting, always performing. She got her big break on Barney and Friends as a little kid. Then came Camp Rock with the Jonas Brothers, and boom, overnight sensation. She was young, beautiful, talented, and in the middle of one of the biggest pop machines in the world, Disney. And from the outside, everything looked perfect, but from the inside, Demi was already falling apart. She's been open about it. Her early years were filled with bullying, body image issues, pressure, and a deep feeling of not being enough. She started struggling with disordered eating before she even became a teenager. She started self-harming. She started turning to substances, all before she turned 18. By the time she became a household name, Demi had already learned how to hide her pain behind a smile, behind makeup, behind a hit song, or a funny red carpet moment. But she was hurting, quietly, constantly. And then things started slipping. There was the incident on tour where she punched a backup dancer. That was the first big crack in the image. After that, she entered rehab for the first time at just 18 years old. The world found out about the self-harm, the eating disorder, the addiction. And that was just the beginning, because recovery isn't simple. It's not a one and done. Demi relapsed multiple times, sometimes publicly, sometimes privately. She'd get clean, get better, then something would pull her under again. Fame, trauma, pressure, loneliness. In 2018, she overdosed. That one nearly killed her. She was found unconscious in her home after taking a mix of opioids that were laced with fentanyl. Her heart stopped. She suffered multiple strokes and a heart attack. She lost her vision temporarily. Doctors said she was minutes away from death. And that could have been the end. But somehow it wasn't. She survived. And when she came back, she didn't pretend everything was fine. She told the truth. The ugly truth. The chaos. The relapse. The guilt. The confusion. The trauma she had never really healed from, the abuse she had experienced, the expectations she could never live up to. And that's when people started seeing her differently, not just as a pop star, not just as a Disney kid who messed up, but as a woman who was still standing when she had every reason not to be, and standing with scars. Since then, Demi's story has been one of constant self-discovery. She's spoken out about mental health, about addiction, about the toxicity of the entertainment industry. She's opened up about being fluid in her identity, sexuality, gender expression, all of it. Not for headlines, but because she was finally learning who she really was, outside of the image. She said, "There's no manual for fame, especially not when you're a kid." And she's right, because Demi Lovato never got to grow up in private. Every mistake, every meltdown, every relapse, it was all public, all judged, all memed. But despite that, she keeps telling her story, keeps making music, keeps trying to heal. Not just for herself, but for others who feel broken too. She's released documentaries, spoken at events, started charities. She uses her platform to talk about things that used to be whispered about: trauma, addiction, eating disorders, suicidal thoughts, gender identity. She's made it okay to not be okay. But she's also been honest that she's still figuring it out. She's changed pronouns, then changed them again. She's gotten sober, then had to redefine what sober meant to her. She's said things in the past that she's later walked back, and some people criticize that. But maybe that's the point. She's not perfect, and she's not pretending to be. She's messy, she's real, she's healing out loud. And that's something we don't see enough of. Because while most celebrities show the highlight reel, Demi shows the backstage mess, and not to gain sympathy, but to remind people that they're not alone. She once said, "I used to live for other people. Now I live for myself." And it shows. Demi Lovato's not the same girl from Disney. She's not the clean-cut pop star they tried to mold her into. She's not the punchline from the tabloids. She's a survivor, an artist, and someone who wakes up every day still trying to love herself, even when it's hard. So yeah, the headlines don't tell the full story. They never did. Because Demi's story isn't about a fall from grace. It's about the climb back up again and again and again.